Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I want to talk to you about thinking about selling Tesla and Rocket Lab, because it's been a brutal few days and months, and I mean in case of Tesla shareholders, years. And I know that there are some people there who need to see this video. This video is going to be about handling your emotions connected with your investments and how to stay long-term in a stock. So this video is not for everyone. If you have zero emotions about or zero frustrations about Rocket Lab not going up or Tesla going down, and then this video is not for you. And this video, I just really share my own experience. I've been a Palantir investor since 2022. And I bought at 12 and then the stock dipped. I bought more at 10 and then the stock dipped. I bought at 8 and then the stock dipped. And at one point I almost held the stock for a year. And I remember that from buying the stock at the first time, we were 50% down. It's a portfolio together with my dad. His retirement is greatly dependent on how well I do with this portfolio. So that was not a lot of fun. And, sometimes I had doubts and worries. And, then we all know how this story turned out. So in this video, I want to talk to you about how you should handle your emotions and hopefully how we can go through this bad period with Tesla and Rocket Lab. I'm not a holder of Tesla. But I would be very interested at buying in these levels. I don't have any liquid money available at this point, so I'm thinking about starting an OnlyFans where I post my feet pictures. So here's the first picture for you if you want to sign up. Look at the sexy feet. Sexy foot. Yeah, anyways, it was just a joke. Probably a very bad one. Anyways, please make sure you subscribe. Let's start the video. So whenever I'm frustrated or worried about an investment, I always think about two things. So one of them is that you have to get humbled by the market, because you can be right about the stock and the value of a company, and yet you can be wrong about what Wall Street thinks about the company. So you can be a fantastic, very undervalued, every metric tells you that you need to buy this company, and yet if the street and the majority of the investors don't think your way, that stock ain't going up. So you need to be right about two things. That's a lot of people miss that. So just because Rocket Lab is a crazy deal at 4.17, that's the stock price today, it doesn't mean that the street thinks so, and it doesn't mean that it will not go lower. So it's just something that we have to live with as investors. Number two, to very key point that I do often whenever I get worried about my investments, is look at the facts. So don't look at your emotions, look at the facts of why you invested in this company in the first place. So in our case, we have Rocket Lab. So what do we have about this company that makes it so special? So one of them is this guy. He is a dishwasher engineer from the land down under. Has zero qualifications or had zero qualifications in rocketry when he started a rocket company, and this is the guy that we trusted our life savings with. So yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope you're not worried anymore. It's all handled. No, I'm kidding. So so the reason why I'm so bullish on this guy actually is what he has already accomplished getting to the point where we are. So I want to remind you guys that he is a dishwasher engineer and he wanted to start a rocket company. And he happened to live in a country that had no space industry, had no way of getting companies financed. And then on top of it, even if you manage these two insurmountable barriers, your country is not allowed by the US to launch rockets, because if you can send things to space, you can put nukes on those same very things, and then you're suddenly a very dangerous country. And as we know, the US is very selective about who they let possess the ability to, send intercontinental nukes. So he had to find people to work with. He had to find a way to get his company financed. And then he had to sit down and get his government, New Zealand, to make a treaty with US so that he can launch rockets. And he overcame all of these things. And then he started getting, government contracts, commercial contracts. And then he went on the stock market. They raised 900 something million. They acquired space systems companies with heritage. And today we have an integrated end-to-end space company that has insanely good prospects, a very proven company in my opinion. And what are we worried about? That they need to handle like $100 million more, which they have already done like 10 times in the past. And honestly, what they have handled in the past was way harder than what they have now, or that they're not able to develop a second rocket after they came up with 3D printing their own rockets. They designed Electron with virtually no money available to them. What are we worried about here? So this is number one. Number two is that this company is like, we're not buying into a dream. So when some people invested, for example, into Nikola Motors or, Lucid or Rivian, they were just a dream, and they had designs and 3D renderings, but nothing was in production. And that is insanely risky. Even if you like the founder, even if you, believe in the mission, even if it looks plausible, I guess I don't have to explain to you how many of these, for example, EV startups actually made it into production and they're not bankrupt today and the CEOs are not in prison for fraud. So very, very few, and the chances are very, very slim. But it's not the case with Rocket Lab. Like, this company has launched this many electrons. They have launched 176 plus satellites that are in orbit. They have factories. They have, lots of proven people working for them. It's like, you're not buying into a dream, you're buying into a well-oiled machine. So that means that the majority of the risk has been taken out already. And now I want to show you something very interesting. Probably this deserves a video of its own. This is from the D-SPAC presentation of Rocket Lab. So this is when they did an IPO, they went the SPAC route, but this was the first public presentation to investors to buy into Rocket Lab. And there's so many things that is mentioned here. As I said, it's going to be a video on its own. But look, this was their financial projections that they did in 2020. So 4 years ago, that's, before COVID happened, before the crazy inflation, before the interest rate increases, before the Russia-Ukraine war, that's before the Israeli-Gaza war. So I just want to illustrate how many things were not planned and still happened. And let's see how did they fare. So 2020, they were estimating 35 million in total revenues. And in 2020, they got 35 million in total revenues. So far, so good, right? The first year is the closest, that's the easiest. Next year, 69 million, and they got 62 million. That's pretty close, okay? I mean, it's the second year, that's harder to predict. So third year, this is very hard now. It's 3 years out. 176 million, and 2023 they got 2022 they got 210 million as opposed to the planned 176. So they quite overdid the plan that they set out at this point 3 years prior. And now in the last year, 267, and they only got 244, which is largely in line for me. And 2024, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years out, which is very, very, very hard to predict. 450 million, and what are their projections? It's about 410 million, which for me, given the uncertainty and how many years it is in the past, it's largely in line. And that is very, very impressive from any company, let alone a, pre-profit startup. So I'm very, very impressed by this management. And this is really what, you go back to when you're worried about your investment, you go back to like, what is the data that I'm absolutely sure of? So I'm absolutely sure that Peter Beck did the impossible, already getting to the point that they are at today. And I truly, honestly believe to go from where they are to launching Neutron and all these things is way, way easier than what they have already accomplished in the past. Then they are a very tried existing thing with existing factories with lots and lots of successful rocket launches and lots of satellites in space, so you're not buying warm air. So what is the worst thing that can happen? I mean, one of them is that we're wrong about the company, right? But that's part of every investment. But maybe we need to wait more until the market comes around. And my co-host on Rocket Lab Weekly, which we do, Matt Money, he bought first when the stock de-SPACed, and that was, what is it now, 4 years ago, and he has been holding, and I think he is more bullish on the company than he has ever been before, if you have been reading him on X. So it's hard to not be bullish on this company. I'm not sure what the short-term price action is going to do. We don't control that, but I'm very, very calm and I sleep well when I look at this company. The second company that I mentioned is, again, a company that I'm looking at, and I know that there are a lot of people who are very, very frustrated and they're quitting, and they were long-term investors, and they were long-term investors as long as the stock was going up, and they held it through many years of the stock going up, and now you have 3 years of the stock going sideways or not going anywhere, and suddenly these long-term investors are not so long-term anymore. But it's the same with this company. You can look at like, okay, are they a real company, or is this, like a smoke screen? It's probably one of the company that has the best product lineup. They have one of the most, exciting products of any company. I don't know why my computer didn't want to show it. I guess, Tesla is very well known, so I don't need to explain it. The company is headed by a guy who just today, actually, they launched this crazy starship that is going to take humanity to Mars. And they were re-entering the Starship, which is, the top part of this rocket, with a fast internet connection connected to Elon Musk's own satellite system. And that is just so crazy, so crazy impressive. Reliable, high-speed, low-latency internet around the world, even while traveling at 27,000 kilometers through a hot plasma shield. So this is the engineer that is leading this company. Is there any doubt that they will not perform, or that they will stop innovating, or they will not be able to innovate on the next thing that they're doing? Zero doubt. Is there any doubt that this company is going to go bankrupt? Zero doubt, because, they are already, those days are way behind this company. And to be honest, there are a lot of things that they are not in control of. For example, the macro. You're not in control of Elon Musk tweeting, but I think it's over dramatized. I don't have any valuation model for any company where I have how much is the owner tweeting. It's just not something that you use to evaluate the company. But the point is, anything that Tesla is in control of, they are excelling at. That's product development, product lineup, execution, and the things that they are not in control of, like the macro, like the interest rates, is not good for them right now. This is why the stock price is not going anywhere. But if you're a long-term investor, this is really, really, really a good buying opportunity. And sometimes I know it can be very annoying that this week or this month or this year, you're not outperforming the S&P 500. But frankly, I think that that's a bad look at looking at your portfolio, because if you held Tesla in 2018 or Palantir at 2020, you were underperforming the S&P 500. And then suddenly the stock market realized what kind of gems these companies were. I think the same thing is going to happen with Rocket Lab. And then you have 1 year when Palantir went 250% up, Tesla went 20x. We don't know what Rocket Lab is going to do, but you would have missed that had you not bought the stock earlier. The only way to catch this insane up run is that you had to be sucking through the time when the stock was going nowhere or it was going down and there was no other way. And trust me, if you hadn't bought at that time, and when you get the crazy rally on Palantir, then you're going to say, now it's expensive, I'm going to wait for a pullback. And then it just keeps going up, 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 up. And then you get a little bit of pullback, and then what are you going to say? You're going to say, I'm not buying here because it's going to go lower. And you just never manage to get into the stock. Trust me on this. So please let me know in the comments, was this video something that you needed to hear? Was this useful at all in handling emotions? Do you get emotions? Frankly, the reason why I did this video today is because I was getting a bit emotional and I had to go through this process myself. So I was thinking that if this happens to me, I'm sure it happens to a lot of you. So I really hope this helped. And yeah, so we just keep strong, we push through this, and Rocket Lab is going to be an insanely good company. Please sign up for my OnlyFans so I can also build a substantial position in Tesla. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.